Hello, this is week 10, reflection. So this week was all about production. So that was my main goal this week, and that is the goal that I did achieve. I wanted to make my product, or film, and I did. Production went amazingly. I was on time, was organised, everything was scheduled perfectly. It all went perfectly. The weather was amazing. It was a perfect evening. It was excellent. Although there were a few little flaws, which I will get to in a second. So I did actually initially have some concern that I wasn't going to have enough footage. Although I had obviously storyboarded and created a production schedule, I was lacking footage, and that was purely because I was missing some props. Yes, I should have brought those props sooner instead of trying to find them the day before. However, I didn't have any money. I'd already spent quite a lot of money on like a couple of little props and like the fireplace, etc. So I had run out of money. I don't have a job personally, right at the moment anyway, so I wasn't able to fund that. Obviously that's frustrating. My mum did say that she would lend me the money, and that's why we went out and looked for those products. However, they were nowhere to be found. It isn't the end of the world, because when I went to edit, there wasn't a problem because it fitted perfectly. I just had to make some shots a little bit longer, etc. So I fixed it. It was totally fine. There were a few contingencies that I hadn't thought about, which included the extension lead. Silly me, the extension lead didn't reach the lights outside, so I had to, it was solved quite easily. I just put loads of extension leads together and then it was sorted. So I hadn't really thought too much about the smoke and being sort of eco-friendly. I hadn't really thought about that. However, on the day I did remember, thankfully. So obviously being at the bottom of my garden was fine because I wasn't affecting the neighbours, and also I did purchase logs that were not smoke free, but they were eco-friendly smoke, and they kept burning for an extremely long time. They were supposed to burn for I think about like 3-4 hours. They burnt for probably about 2.5 until you'd have to put like a couple more logs on and stuff like that. So they were brilliant. So that was a consideration that I had to make on the day. There were a few considerations like that, but nothing drastic. Just a few measures that I did just forget to put in my contingency plan, but I don't think it's the end of the world. So what are my strengths for this week, and how have I used them to benefit my work? I've got a new set of questions now, by the way, very similar to the last set. So my strength would have been my organisation, and I used the organisation that I had previously learnt in pre-production and in last year as well to make production as prompt, quick, organised and structured as possible. It went very smoothly because I was organised and because I had learnt organisation from year 1 in media. So that was a strength that I had, which I used to my advantage in production. So what were my weaknesses for this week, and what am I doing to turn them into my strength? So I'd say one of my weaknesses was probably budget and money, and I should have organised that a little bit better, or not necessarily organised but prepared for how much everything was going to cost in more depth. I don't think I'd really thought of every single thing, but that is slightly inevitable. There's always going to be extra costs when it comes to the day or a couple of days before, or if you make any amendments to your product in pre-production or even in production. There's going to be some financial amendments that have to be made in relation to budget. So that made it a little bit, I guess, more stressful because I couldn't do everything that I wanted to do, which was a shame, but I still managed to fill up the time and fill up the 3.5 minutes or so that the video was, so that was fine. And what am I going to do to turn that weakness into strength in the future? So for example, when I go to university and in my future career, I will ensure that I have thought of every single little thing that needs to go on my budget. I will ensure that I don't create something that involves a lot of props if I cannot afford them, which is something that's a mistake I made. I thought I would be able to afford lots of props. I was wrong. Yeah, so that is something that I will change in the future, and just make sure that I'm a little bit more careful with just money. That's also a life thing as well that I can carry out through life. How have my strengths, skills and understanding of the project theme helped me during the production and post-production phases? So my strengths and skills probably lie in organisation. They lie in probably creativity as well. I think I'm quite creative. Planning and preparation. And obviously I do have a good understanding of the project theme, which was a narrative music video. And obviously having these skills and understandings has really helped my end product. Obviously I'm not at my end product yet, but it's really helped me through production and pre-production, and it's kept me on track, it's kept me on time, it's kept me organised. And these are all skills that I have been developing throughout the course and have been working on and learning and getting better and better and better. I do think the theme, narrative music video, was a tricky one for me to keep to. And now I'm looking at obviously my product as a whole, because I've put everything, I've began editing. I spent I think 4 hours editing the other day, and got a lot done. I got everything in the right order and started adding effects, but I was a little bit concerned that it didn't show the narrative. For example, for the examiners who will be looking at my pre-production and seeing my idea, it will make sense to them. Whereas I feel like for someone who hasn't seen the meaning behind it, it may not make sense. But that's just something that I do need to work on and ask around and ask people that haven't seen it before, does this make sense? Or is this just completely wrong? So that's my plan for when I've sort of finished editing. So what opportunities have become available to me because of this project? So obviously university is a huge one. That is a huge opportunity for me. Not necessarily because of this product, it's more because of the course, but this project has presented me with a lot more knowledge and skills on actual production. And if I'm going to the university to study film production, then it's perfect. So there's also skills that could obviously help me set up a business in the future as well. So like working freelance, for example. I'm still obviously working on camera skills, etc. But I've learnt a lot about Premiere Pro for doing this project. I don't know why. I think it's because I'm using a lot of effects and I never really done that before, but I'm becoming more and more confident as the days go by with Premiere Pro. And I feel like when I hit university and then when I hit freelancing, if that's what I want to do in the future, that's obviously going to be perfect because I already do have like a good knowledge of it, of Premiere Pro. So the next question is, discuss the threats to the success of the project. So I don't think there's a lot threatening at the moment, bar probably the theme, and making sure that the theme makes sense. There are a couple other things I don't really like. I don't like the fact it was filmed in my garden. I don't like the background at all. I'm going to try and get rid of the background, but I don't think that's going to be possible. I think without a green screen, that's not possible. So for me, I'm almost hoping the examiners will watch it and imagine it in a different place. And just imagine it not necessarily in my back garden. I should have been more creative with location. I live in the countryside. I could have done that. However, for some reason I really wanted those lights. And I needed those lights because I wanted it to be filmed at night time. So I wanted them and needed them. So filming in a rural location wasn't ever going to happen. So all I could think of was to do it in my garden. And yeah, I do regret that. I wish that I'd been a little bit more creative with that. But I wasn't for some reason focused on the location. That is something that I've learned and will carry with me in the future, that location is extremely important, because your background is noticed as much as your foreground. And I noticed that obviously after production. It's okay, I've learnt from it. So I do obviously now see the importance of having a very good location. Honestly, I don't work. I quit my job when this project started, so I don't have any commitments in that sense. The time of the year was never a threat because I was really lucky with the weather, and I've never lost motivation or passion, not once. I've enjoyed this project so much, and I still am. And I mean, there has been a couple of times, a couple of weeks, which you will have seen in my previous reflections, where I'm a bit like, not really feeling it. But that was never really me losing passion for film. That was more me not believing in myself. So I've never lost passion. I've absolutely loved this. I've really enjoyed it. And yeah, I had no worries. So that is this week's reflection, and I will tune in next week and let you know how it goes. The plan for next week is to basically finish post-production, so editing, and possibly begin looking a little bit into my evaluation. That's if I get editing done, but we'll see.